qualitative research. So please remember that we have qualitative research integrate the research philosophy of constructivism or interpretivism, but still there are many in the earlier time of qualitative research also includes some concept of positivism. Only earlier time. Then later on, the qualitative research advanced their knowledge more oriented to the constructivisms. Indeed, the quantitative research is using the positivism and post-positivism. So I hope you understand this differences between the post-positivism and constructivism. It is a real foundation to understand qualitative research. So please don't overlook about underestimate the impact of your research philosophies.
一嚟就即刻有 job 接。
So, and then we just also talk about
Okay.
qualitative research. Oh, by the way, if you have any question about my slide today, please stop me to ask questions so that we can more effectively I can effectively more answer to your questions. Okay, so second part is that we learn about when we can use qualitative research, because sometimes you also think about, oh, I may need to use a qualitative research design for your research. So you may consider about many aspects so that you can explore whether this characteristic match with your research questions and research plan. So for example, a problem or issue need to be explored, not investigated and evaluated. Some people argue that, oh, we need to do some qualitative evaluation and we need to invest something about human experience. But actually, this word really bit contain the post-positivist viewpoint. Yes, we never evaluate the human in the qualitative research, and also we don't investigate, but we explore their experience. I think the exploration is a more appropriate term for qualitative research. And also when we need a complex, detailed understanding of the issue, because qualitative research also wants to understand about context of your research topic. So if you have a headache is not your own main focus. You also want to know about other surrounding, what kinds of causes make the headache, they cause the headache. So context is very, very important in qualitative research. So if you need holistic understanding about your research topic, including the context and surrounding, maybe you can also consider to use qualitative research. If we also focus on the individual's experience, is very, very important. So if you want to empower individuals, the very unique experience, maybe you can also consider about qualitative research design. And also the fourth one is quite similar to second one. So context and setting is your main focuses. Maybe you can also use the qualitative research approaches. If you also wanted to develop the theory, and not big theory, but if you want to develop some nursing practical theory in your research setting, maybe you can also use the qualitative research. Well, particularly, you can use the grounded theory among all the methodology in qualitative research. It enables you to, it makes you easy to develop the theory compared to other methodologies. So if you have this aim, maybe you can use grounded theory approaches in qualitative research. Of course, the qualitative research also can be used with the quantitative research. We mix the method. So if you wanted to follow up quantitative research, it means that if you want to provide a more meaning, interpretation about the finding from quantitative research, maybe you can also consider following qualitative research after survey or RCT, etc. Another way also possible, it means that you can just conduct the qualitative research first, and then you can, based on your finding from qualitative research, you can also design the quantitative research. In this approach, maybe you can consider these approaches when you cannot find any previous topic research or very new topic. Maybe you can consider about this first, understanding the participant experience first, and then develop your quantitative research design. so that you can have some understanding about context first and the research topic, and then you can move on to the quantitative research to test your hypothesis. Here are the research questions according to the research design. So largely qualitative research and quantitative research. So there are many purposes: identification, description, exploration, explanation, prediction, control. But as you can see, very weird. You can easily understand that there is no qualitative research question for prediction and control, right? Because in qualitative research, we don't control any context. We want to know about their participant experience in their own setting. We never control the situation. And also prediction, we never know because we only want to know about their previous experience in terms of research topic. So it's very difficult to, it's not aimed for qualitative research. So that's why we don't have this kind of question. Even though we have a similar purpose between the quantitative and qualitative research, as you can see here, there are totally two different research questions they have. For example, exploration. Qualitative research would ask you may ask, what is the full nature of the phenomenon? What is the process? Something like that. But in quantitative research, you only focus on what is the factor, and also what is the quantified finding from these explorations, etc. So although they have some purpose, but approach can be different. And maybe you can this research question in qualitative research, you can also consider about this research question for your assignment. As you, I'm sure that many of you already review the course manual. So you need to provide in the research proposal, mini research proposal, you need to provide your the research question. So maybe you can reference about this kind of question, whether you have on the right track or not. So do you remember I showed the one time, right? So now I will just briefly explain the 5 different approaches you have learned using the Marvel stories. Okay, so do you still remember what you have learned? I mean, methodologies. What methodology you learned? Oh, okay, you don't.
Theory,
Ground theory, good.
maybe phenomenological.
Yeah, ethnography and phenomenology, right? And any others? Okay, you just want me to finish earlier, right? Okay, you learn about the interpretive descriptions and narrative. So actually, we have more methodologies in qualitative research, but I have introduced, we invited the renowned researchers in the 5 area because it's the 5 methodologies popularly used in the healthcare qualitative research. So it's a major, you can think it's a major qualitative methodologies. So you should know clear these differences between the 5 approaches. I need to repeat it one more time. All methodology about human experience. It's all same. So when you write your proposal, when you write your manuscript, if you only say, oh, we adopt phenomenology because we want to explore human experience, but it's very, very general, too generic. You know what I mean? Because all qualitative research is about human experience. So you need to know about what is the specific characteristic strengths of the qualitative research methodologies. So phenomenology, as you can see, the reason I just give this one is, I'm sure that many of you already watched this movie. It's a last story of the Avengers. In the last movie, all Avengers, the heroes is gathered together and fight with Thanos to save the world. So in this case, I can say they all want to know about, they share all the one phenomenon, right? About war between the human and the Thanos. Is the main phenomenon over their research. And then now if you want to know about what is their essence, meaning to engage, heroes meaning and essence to engage this war, and if you want to know about this part, you can use phenomenology. because they all share the same experience as a one event, like the Thanos attacked the Earth, something like that, and then they have their own motivation. They all their own the story to engage this world, but the main essence or main meaning to engage this world can be the quite similar each other. Like for example, save the world, right? It can be the essence of this was the phenomenon. So maybe you can okay again one more time. If you want to know more about the essence of their experience, why they came to join this war, it can be also you want to know about um the what kinds of the meaning by engaging this war. You may in this way you have this kind of question for your research topic. You can also choose the phenomenology approaches with in qualitative research methodology. Another thing is okay. In this case, also Superman is also hero, right? It's a we know very famous hero, but he didn't engage this war, right? Because although he's a hero, he didn't engage this war. So it means that he doesn't share this phenomenon. So when you recruit a participant, you need to also have a very clear boundary so that you should exclude the Superman to join your research study. It's okay when once you have this kind of idea, I mean the aim to explore their essence or meaning. Now you need to also think about what kinds of phenomenology you want to explore. You learn about two different methodologies, right? Within the phenomenology. So one is descriptive phenomenology and interpretive phenomenology. Another one is interpretive phenomenology. So we invited Michael to talk about general approach of phenomenology, but actually he is oriented to interpretive phenomenologies. He explained more about interpretive phenomenology rather than descriptive phenomenology because he support the interpretive phenomenology approaches. But still, he provided the very good this overview about phenomenology itself. But when you write the research proposal and manuscript, you need to have a very clear choice between the two approaches, descriptive phenomenology or interpretive phenomenologies. So descriptive phenomenologies developed by the Husserl and interpretive the phenomenology developed by Heidegger. So Husserl is just the developer of phenomenologies. So and you can link with my previous explanation in our first lecture today. I said earlier qualitative researchers still have a positivist viewpoint. You remember, right? So exactly same. Husserl also had some positivist viewpoint when he developed and used the phenomenologies for the human experience. So that is why you can see what Husserl emphasized: bracketing and objectivities, right? So as you can see in qualitative research supported by interpretivism and constructivism, they don't accept objectivities. Rather, they support subjectivity and their own unique experience. So because in interpretivism and constructivism, they don't think about generalized finding. But Husserl and once they seek objectivity, they may more oriented to develop have a finding that can be more generalizable to others. And also the one concept, you still remember bracketing? Do you know what is bracketing? It's one of the key key strategies that can be used in the descriptive phenomenologies. Bracketing means you can hold your preconception when you analyze your qualitative research data so that you can minimize the influence of your own preconception, supposition, something like that, when you analyze it. Because if you only know one part, you may be, when you interpret it, you may bias to the one side that you know. So that is why the Husserl is worried about researcher become the biased. So that is why he developed the concept of bracketing. Because simply saying, I can say, they are, so using the bracketing, they ask you to stay neutral, not just project your own experience, not project your own preconception, etc. So stay neutral. So that is why the finding can be more objective. Does it make sense? Okay, good. But however, the Heidegger is a totally opposite. Actually, he is the the student of the Husserl, but he doesn't understand how we can be neutral when you provide our interpretation, and also how we can make sure about objectivity when we conduct qualitative research. They deny the Heidegger denied the concept from the Husserl. Mainly these two concepts. So that is why he newly developed another the tradition of the phenomenology. It called interpretive phenomenologies. And this approach is more oriented to constructivism or interpretivism. So it's a big differences. And then let's move on to the ground theory. When we use the ground theory, I repeat many times, right? When we can use ground theory, do you have any idea? No idea. Okay. 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 You can use the ground theory when you aim to develop the theory through the qualitative research. But now I just mentioned about the theory development. In this case, you need to also think about the definition of a theory. So how we can develop theory? If you want to develop the theory, you need to have some concept, and then you need to identify the relationship between all the concept and then merge together into one coherent system. It is theory. So all concept should have some causality or relationship, etc. You should have identified this kind of relationship, and they should link between each concepts so that you can build a theory. If you cannot identify any relationship, any causality, or any relationship again, but if you cannot find this kind of relationship, maybe you cannot develop the theory. It is exactly same as the grounded theory too. If you cannot, find any relationship between the concept in your research finding, maybe you cannot build the theory through the grounded theory. So that is why the grounded theory and the more focus on how to identify this relationship between the concepts. So I know, and also that is why to understand this kind of relationship between the concept, they also mainly focus on the process of a concept. Once you know the process A to B, you also know about the relationship between A and B, right? So that is why they also focus on the process. So for example, if we have a Marvel example, the Avengers, now we can just describe the process. Thanos is collecting all 6 Infinity Stones to destroy the world, but all the hero united to battle their most powerful enemy yet, I mean Thanos, and then they decide to join this war and then fight with the Thanos, and then finally they save the world. So using this kind of process about human experience, they now build this kind of identify that all the concept here you can see bottom, identify the concept that influence on this process, and then they develop a theory what happened with this research topic. For just an example, it's just a fictional story anyway. So now you can hit here. Avengers can be, I mean, if I'm researcher, I analyze like this. identify the Avengers as a center with their each heroes, and then I identify the 4 different factors: environmental factors, interpersonal factors, and intrapersonal factors, and contextual factors. But as you can see, the arrow here, right? Maybe I also during the research process also identified this kind of direction process in the among the factors. So it means that um, interpersonal factor influence on the Avengers, and then environmental factor also influenced on Avengers experience. Intrapersonal factor also influenced on the Avengers. Altogether, it influenced to the contextual factors, something like that. I just identify, although once you identify the factors that related to your research topic, now you need to think about this kind of direction. So because as you know, all Avengers have different motivations, they have a different context, and they have a different talent. They have a different the story during the war all together, right? So you need to identify the pattern inside, so that you can categorize as interpersonal, intrapersonal, contextual, environmental, and then make all the thing together and then make a direction and process, and then you can finally build this kind of theory. So usually, if you use the grounded theory as a final output, you you would like to provide this kind of model, theoretical model, as a finding. Is another differences between other methodologies. When you read the more grounded theory research, the author tended to report this kind of a diagram as a finding. Any question? No. Similar to grounded theory, that there are different branch of the different tradition of the grounded theory, right? So each approach is totally different each other. I mean, the Glaser and Strauss developed the first grounded theory in 1967, but later on, Strauss and Corbin developed a new tradition of grounded theory that has totally different approaches from original one. And later on, also Shamas developed a new concept within the grounded theory, and then try to build her own grounded theory approaches. So basically, they separate their own way because of their research paradigm. And the first generation, Glaser Strauss and Strauss Corbin, they all made they had the positivity viewpoint when they conducted qualitative research. But later on, the Sharmas deny to use the positivity concept for qualitative research. So that is why he should adopt the concept of constructivism for her own the grounded theory approaches. That's why she called her own approach as a constructivist grounded theory. We cannot cover all, but I hope you understand. Once you decide the methodology, like the phenomenology, grounded theory, etc., you need to also decide another following decision, which tradition you want to use according to research paradigm. It's very important. So you cannot only say, oh, I use the grounded theory. It's very, very ambiguous. Because within the grounded theory, there are 3 totally different approaches, right? So you need to decide, once you decide the grounded theory, you need to also decide which tradition you will use. Mainly there are 3 approaches. And in the phenomenology, mainly have 2 approaches. You need to choose. And then you need to follow all the guidelines from the specific approaches, not another one. Also, when you use the grounded theory, you need to use the 3 key concepts: the theoretical sampling, constant comparison, and theoretical saturation. No matter which tradition you choose, all the grounded theorists recommended to use these 3 concepts within the grounded theory. So when you design your grounded theory, you must include those concepts in your proposal and in your in your the manuscript writing. Otherwise, they will ask you why you miss some key concept of ground theory. Now let's move on to the narrative. Narrative is about the story you learn, right? You need to identify you actually you learned. You may not remember now, but narrative is more focused on the story. And particularly they like to arrange this story according to chronological order, time sequence. So now, because the Iron Man has a 3 different movies, right? Iron Man 1, 2, 3. There are 3 movies, but in each movie has have a very key story of the Tony Stark, right? It seems like you don't watch this movie. I only watch, I think. Okay, so anyway, the Iron Man in each story, each 3 movie, they have their own key stories together. So they arrange these key stories to build their uh, um, the um, the finding, I mean, consequence of each story. So they try to identify the key story from Tony Stark's childhood and their middle age and why he become the Iron Man, something like that. In the first movie, they have this kind of the time sequence and with key stories. So, because Tony Stark is maybe the 40 years old, more than 50 years old, but we cannot know all the stories, right, about his life. But that is why the director captures key story. The audience should understand the Tony Stark the story life. So that is why director picked the key story and then make all merge it together and deliver to the audience. And then audience enjoy the movie. Through this storyline and key story, audience can understand overall pictures of the Tony Stark life. But there are also different the story focuses. But first and second, third movie totally different each other. So that is why they arrange the different story that match with the story 1, another story that match with the story 2, the movie 2, something like that. They arrange this kind of thing by identify key storyline. So they also, of course, it's also about the human experience, but now I emphasize it many times already. So if you use narrative, the key role of a researcher is to identify the key storyline, and then using this key storyline, you need to analyze all the key storyline you identify, and then find a conclusion through the narrative approaches. And the fourth methodology you learn is ethnography. The main point of ethnography to understand the culture in your research topic. Sometimes when we talk about the culture, it's quite broad. Maybe we can think about the culture like African culture and Asian culture, totally different, right? Is also, of course, you can also do this kind of differences about culture within very large context. But in the same time, you can also narrow down about this concept, cultural concept, in very narrow setting. For example, CUHK, the hospital, and Hong Kong New Hospital, although it's all are in Hong Kong, but their working nature, culture, or steps characteristic can be really bit different each other because of the cultural influence, right? So if you know about this kind of the cultural influence, social cultural influence on human experience, maybe you can choose ethnography. So for example, if I use the example from the Marvel, do you know Black Panther, right? Black Panther is living in the one African country called Wakanda. And then nobody, actually, like me, like us, we cannot go enter the place, Wakanda, without permissions, right? Because it's a very hidden place. So, but it's also they have their own very unique cultural aspect of their society experience. because they build their own society using their own unique experience, unique social system. So that is why we never know about their people, how people live there, what kinds of things important for them, and what's the value about your life, their life, something like that. We don't know. We never know because
身邊有興趣
the
嘅朋友，
we never know about the Wakanda before. So researcher maybe go there, the place Wakanda, enter with permission from the Black Panther, and then we can stay 1 month or 1 year or 2 year there and observe all the humans, the Wakanda members experience in the place, and then we can identify some cultural aspect and they're using their experience and their observation. Another one, final one is the interpretive description. Okay, so do you know Doctor Strange? Did you watch this movie? Okay, good. I forgot his name. What is his name? Doctor Strange, right? Anyway, he's a surgeon, right? He was a surgeon, but he had a has a very serious the car accident. After that, he have an injury about the hand, so that is why he cannot move his hand, so that he cannot be doctor again. So he just find any some place that who can fix her arm from the injury, but actually he get the magic later on, the how to I mean by recovering the body function. But actually, it's a storyline about Doctor Strange. But the more important thing is, um, now there are many audience about because I mentioned that he had a car accident, right? So now do you know who is his girlfriend in this movie? She is a nurse. So think about it. Now Doctor Strange's has their own experience, and also the other people who helped the Doctor Strange has their own view, right? But maybe if we have the Doctor Strange's girlfriend viewpoint, we mainly focus on his recovery, right? About from the injury, because she is a nurse. She has more oriented to about she doesn't have interest about any magic or training, etc. But she only focus on the recovery using the by providing effective nursing care. So if you want to talk with if we talk with Dr. Stranger, we may ask more. We try to get the more practical finding from the interview or observation, etc., that can help the Doctor Strange to faster recovery. So it means that I want to highlight one thing is when we conduct the qualitative research, we need to have our disciplinary lens. So it means, okay, now let's think about we need to the interview Dr. Strange. So now you are from the nursing background, but there are some other researchers from social science and engineering and politics, but we ask the same question according to the Dr. Strange's experience, but we all have a different interpretation and try to make a different conclusion from the research, qualitative research, right? Because we need the finding to improve. We need to use a finding for their own purpose. I mean, disciplinary goal. In the nursing care, we need to have some finding that can be useful for nursing care. For politics, they need to have for the finding that can contribute to policy making. You know, if you from the engineering, maybe we need engineers maybe think about how they can develop the more useful the product to support his injuries, etc. So discipline, because we have a healthcare discipline, our own disciplinary lens shaped our own understanding, and also it leads to our own findings. They can be distinguished from others. The reason It is called interpretive description. So if you want to use interpretive description, you need to think about your disciplinary goal. I mean, nursing. What kinds of nursing, what kinds of finding can be useful for nursing practice? You can think about this, and then you need to orient it to this, the aim when you analyze the data and when you develop the finding. No, she is a she is the wife, the girlfriend of Dr. Stranges. Okay, now I just briefly introduced about five different methodologies. Do you have any questions? Okay, no. Let's move on to the.
Sorry, Professor. I just want to ask a little bit thing because I still have some confusion on ethnology and the phenomenology. Because ethnology, it can be studying a society group of their culture, but in phenomenology, it's also not restricted to a one individual, but also a group of people, how they feel on that thing. I'm a little bit confused on the studying the choosing the method of these two kind of methodology.
Oh, okay, do you mean that you want to know more about differences between phenomenology and ethnography, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
good, very good. Okay, so again, they are all talking about the human experience, and also context is very all important for all the other methodologies in qualitative research. So that is why phenomenology, but their focus is differences. Focus is different because one phenomenology more focus on their aim to identify essence and meaning. Their focus within the phenomenon is their focus. Of course, there are some similarity between other methodologies, but they are mainly focused on identification of essence and its meaning within the certain context.
So
But
is it it's aimed to find the understanding of how they make that phenomenon.
no, it's now about your understanding because now we need to understand. We need to understand about their own essence about research topic.
Oh.
Okay, for example, if a shisha smoking, right?
Mm,
If you decide to smoke shisha, but
mm,
we need to understand why they make this behavior. What is essence of smoking shisha? We need to know about this.
okay.
And then if you choose the interpretive phenomenology, you may also need to add one more thing is meaning. So,
Mm,
and the smoking shisha is essence. Why? Why they smoking shisha is essence. And also we can also think about the meaning. Why? What made you to smoke the
wow.
shisha? It's
Mm,
in this case the phenomenon is the shisha smoking, shisha bar or shisha context. But
mm,
ethnography more focus on the cultural influence,
mm.
social cultural influence on the topic. So,
Oh.
so shisha, for example, shisha, we don't need to know about the why they blah blah blah, but we all need to know about their own culture.
Mm,
In the within the, like okay, social cultural influence on the shisha smoking because
mm,
this experience can be different from the smoker in Middle East, right? Because Hong Kong have a different cultural background.
mm,
They still enjoy the shisha,
mm,
but or in the Middle East, they smoking shisha for family gatherings or the French gatherings as a social activities. But in Hong Kong, they smoke shisha to um, um, have a fun, show off.
mm.
I do some fancy activity. And also I wanted to drink more with the shisha. It's their own purpose, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the culture are totally different each other's. So that is why if you
Oh,
want to identify about this kind of aspect, maybe you can choose the ethnography over the phenomenology.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You, any other questions? Nope. Okay, let's move on to the qualitative research proposal writing. Okay. Okay, wait a minute. Yep. Oops. Okay. So I'm sure that you already have done about your interview and observation, right? You're about to submit, correct? Please check the deadline again. The deadline is become soon. So don't late. Otherwise, there are some marking the score deduction. So please don't get any disadvantage from this. The observation and interview formed 50% of your total marks, and another 50 is qualitative research mini proposal. So it means that you need to write a very simple, quick, very brief the proposal because and so that you can get a 50% as an assessment. But don't worry too much. I don't think that anyone will fail. Otherwise, that very weird writing in your assignment. Otherwise, all pass. But I hope you get also good score too. So please do your best to get high mark as possible. And now, writing mini proposal is no. Please don't write too many. But but it's okay if you want to write more. I will allow to. You can submit more pages if necessary. But if you write many repetitions, but it become longer, I don't accept it. But all new contents and more detailed explanation, I can accept it without repetitions. You know what I mean? So although I mentioned about 6 pages, maybe you can maximum 8-10 pages or fine. But please make a concise as much as you can. Write it wrong doesn't guarantee have a high score anyway. So in the 6 pages, please use the 10 to 12 the size font size, and also if you want to provide more, but no. So if you want, not if you want, table, figures, and references not included in 6 pages. So please separate it. So you can provide as many as table and figure and references. And develop the brief research proposal of any topic. Maybe you can think about your own research topic, and because now you have your own research topic for your doctoral thesis, right? Otherwise, you can also, if you don't have yet, maybe you can also develop any topic you have interest. It can be your workplace topic from your workplace or your own experience, etc. Of course, once you decide the topic, you need to also provide many background in the introduction part with references so that we can understand the research gap and also importance of your research. And please submit all the proposal by the 13th July, 2 months later, right? 1 month later, 1.5 months later. Please submit it through the Turnitin. Please also check a similarity and AI, the similarity percentage to make sure about there's no risk of this kind of plagiarism. Okay, that's a brief tip for proposal writing. Be practical, because your research is not. If your research topic is meaningless, not important, not because nobody have an interest about your research topic, right? So research proposal is for maybe funding or doing research. But if not practical, nobody accept your proposal. And also be persuasive. It means that now you try to sell your product to reviewers. So maybe you can explain more marketing way, because we need to try to persuade the reviewers your research topic is very important. Your research approach is very rigorous. You need to prove yourself through the writing. If you just provide very not interesting the sentences, if you use it, it can be, although your research topic very, very important, but they may not have an interest about your research topic in even your research proposal. And also make a broader link. Don't be too specific sometimes, because some people, like if you're too specific, you may more focus on the quantitative approaches. So please think about the one research topic you set. In the same time, please understand the surrounding that are linked with your research topic, so that you can have a holistic understanding. And also when you write a proposal, you need to provide a very crystal clarity, transparency about your research process. So now, please, when you write it, please remove any part is ambiguous. But sometimes we don't know, because we write something and you think it's very clear, but maybe other people cannot understand, right? So in this case, the one tip is very useful is you can share with the other student, double check each other, cross check whether other student can understand your research proposal and your writing, so that make sure but also I understand. And when you also check the research the course manual, you can also find this table, and also each detail in each law, right? So research, it means that you need to include all these headings in your research proposal. So you need to have research question first, and then provide introduction and background. And after that, you need to provide the purpose, aim or objective of your research, and then research design. Within the research design, you need to also provide this right-hand side, you can say right-hand side, full detail about your methodology, participant, and data gathering method, and interview guide and the appendix, and data analysis plan, and the rigor, how you make sure about rigor in your study, and ethical consideration and timeline. As you can see, the weighting here, the design part is 30%, very high, right? Because this course is a research design methodology course. So that is why I put a lot of weight on the research design part. So please make sure about this research design part. Once you make sure, you definitely passed without any problem. Do you have any question about this table? Anyway, I will share, as you requested it, I will share this PowerPoint that I delivered today, but I have one concern, because later on I will share some example in this slide, but please don't copy. And because if I show some example, they tend to follow my example. If you do so, I may not give you full score. Okay. So that is why when I share this slide with you, I will remove the part example. Okay. But please don't also capture now. Okay, so let's start from the all the structure first. You already I introduced this this figure many times. So it's a research process. So now you need to have the research topic, right? So that is why you need to develop your own research questions. And once you have a research question, you need to build literature review. You need to provide the literature supporting evidence, right? So you need to argue why your research is important, right? It's very, very important. You need to identify the research gap. Once you develop your research, the question through your reading or your own experience, after that, you need to also read many relevant articles, and then you can understand background, and then so that you can highlight about your research gap, about your topic you choose. And then please, you can identify the purpose of your research as an aim. Then you need to find your methodologies. If your aim is to identify the theory, you need to use the grounded theory, right? If your aim is to identify the essence and the meaning, it can be phenomenology, but you need to choose which phenomenologies. If you want to know about, if you aim to generate the practical finding from qualitative research methodology, maybe you need to choose the interpretive description approaches. If you want to focus on the humans, the participant story, key story, and the meaning inside, you need to choose a narrative. If you have interest about, if you have aim to explore about social cultural influence on the human experience, you should choose narrative. No, ethnography, sorry. And once you decide it, now you need to also decide about data collection method. So it means that how will you collect data? In quantitative research, you use a survey. But in qualitative research, there are different approaches, right? It can be interview, it can be observation, correct? So you don't need to use only one approach if you want. You can also mix it. If you can do both observation and interview, and also if you can explore other approaches that can be useful for answering your research question, but you need to provide justification. Okay, why you choose this? Why? Of course, in the method part, you need to also start with the sampling method. What kind of sampling method you will use? Why you choose this? And what is your inclusion exclusion criteria, etc. And the data collection method, I just mentioned that we interview, observation, also mention it. Once you discussed about your methodology, the data collection method, now it's time to provide the information about data analysis. There are a number of data analysis approaches, right? It can be thematic analysis, but if you choose a specific methodology, it's better to use their own analytical framework. If you use the grounded theory, there are their own approaches to make coding, and axial coding, initial coding, and selective coding, etc. It can be different from semantic analysis, so you need to make sure about this kind of thing. And then you need to also provide a rigor how to make sure quality of your research. You can provide the strategies there. But in the proposal, we usually include the budget plan, how much money we needed, but please don't include it, use it just as a practice. Okay, so now it's the proposal heading research questions, right? The introduction and aim, design, and references. So I will share this one maybe because you can follow this heading and provide all information according to it. For the background, I already mentioned that please try to do holistic, more comprehensive research review for research topic, so that you can make sure about you can identify the key research gap. Again, you need to sell your product. It means that you need to highlight why this research case is very important, right? You need to provide all the information to highlight about why your research is very important and what kinds of field you identify through the research review. And of course, sometimes you can also build I'm sure that you also understand the importance of a theoretical framework and conceptual framework when you do research review, right? So it's just an example of what I have done before. Because I want to know about the stroke, the patient prevention, about the secondary stroke. So using the research review, I build this kind of conceptual framework. It means that during the introduction, background, I cover this whole concept and then provide this kind of the conceptual framework for my research proposal. But it's optional. If you don't want to do that, it's okay. But if you want to make more comprehensive and more clear about your research concept in your background, maybe why don't you develop this kind of thing? And aim, objective, you need to I'm sure that you also know about this. But please don't be confused about difference. You know the differences between aim and objective, right? Aim is just a broad term of your purpose of your research, but objective is more likely action plan to achieve the goal. But in many cases in the research, they interchangeably use this term aim, objectives, and purpose. But I hope you understand some differences between these terms. So that is why I just highlight one more time. So here's just an example. Water pipe smoking. So just an example, but it's a very old concept too. So that is why I'm sure that you can advance from this kind of example better. I mean, you can make it better. So if I choose a topic about water pipe smoking experience, perception, motivation amongst a young adult in Hong Kong. So now I developed some research question like this. What is the young adult's experience and pattern of water pipe smoking? What is their perception? What is the factor to initiating water pipe smoking? With social factor that influence on the water pipe smoking, etc. But in your proposal, maybe you can have a maximum 2 research questions. You cannot have many research questions, so because it can be very long, more complicated. So I just highlight that here. I provide many references and the background and the introduction, and then I say that through the research review, I identified that research team identified that water pipes. Oh my, sorry. Research that smokers experience perception, pattern, social cultural influence. However, this kind of thing remain unclear, particularly in Hong Kong context. Maybe you can say that. And then so further study are required to gain in-depth understanding of water pipe smoking in Hong Kong context. And then after that, I provide the aim. I will explore their experience and understand their water pipe perception and the motivation in Hong Kong. But this aim is too broad. Okay. I hope you can just match with your research methodology. Okay. I provide a very general experience here, but maybe you can make it more specific according to your research design and methodologies. And research design. Okay, I'm sure that you will choose one methodology for your research proposal, but please provide the full detail why you choose these methodologies. Okay, so and also you can highlight about not necessary, but if you wanted to highlight about why you conduct qualitative research, maybe you can start with this description. But after that, you need to also provide the detail why you choose certain methodologies. Okay. Now you become narrow, right? What maybe you can in the design part, you can highlight the first about, I will conduct qualitative research. And then because of why, among the qualitative methodology, and then I will use this methodology because of blah, blah, blah. Much clearer. So that's why I just mentioned about this. And also, if you use a phenomenology, please just choose either one. And ground theory, also you choose according to the traditions. Sometimes maybe you can also read some articles that relate to the ground theory, phenomenology, and others, so you can have a better understanding. The easiest one, I just want to let you know the easiest way, but easiest one is maybe you can find some similar research topic that published in the good journal. I recommend the International Nursing Study and QHR, Qualitative Health Research. They have a very high standard of qualitative research. So you can read some article from the journals that is similar to your research topic, and then you can learn how they develop and how they justify the reason they choose certain methodology too. Again, many our speakers also highlight that semantic analysis is not methodology itself. Okay, semantic analysis is just one strategy for data analysis. You still need to provide research methodologies. Participant, you can explain who, how many you will recruit participants for your research project. So maybe you can just choose a purposive sampling. Among the purposive sampling, which sampling approach you will use, you can describe it and then provide a brief reason. And also you need to talk about how many, right? So because of how many participants, you never know, right? You never know how many people but it's a practice, and also you need to convince the reviewer and IRB, so that it's better to provide some certain number. But I already give you the tip how you can avoid answer to this request, right? So you can see that example like next slide. But also you can use the concept of data saturation, right? You can write data saturation in the proposal, correct? Please don't use data saturation. Okay, data saturation, and I'm not sure that you have a in-depth knowledge about data saturation. There are some argument, right? If you want to use data saturation, please provide a full justification. I can also accept it. If your justification is convincing, I will accept it. Here's an example. Because the most difficult part is that deciding the number of participants, right? A prediction in qualitative research. So I just developed this kind of strategy previously. I can reference a similar research. So existing qualitative study that have conducted individual interview, a study, and recruited between the 9 to 57 water pipe smokers, average 28 participants. So it is anticipated that this research would tentatively recruit around 28 participants, but no more than 53 participants, or up to 47, something like that. You can describe it like this, or you can add one more sentence like, however, the final number of participants will be decided after completion of the research data and analysis. It's more clear. And you can through this kind of description, you can demonstrate you have knowledge about it's difficult to determine the sample size before starting qualitative research. It's good. And sometimes some researchers also students use a reference like a Creswell advice that roughly 5 to 25 participants is appropriate for sample size for phenomenological study. Here, right? But don't use this reference at all, because if you provide this sentence, you may misunderstand the Creswell's point. Creswell never recommend you to use these references. He just demonstrate the pattern about sample size in phenomenological study, not recommendation. And then research method, maybe you also learn about interview, observation, and memo writing, etc. Please feel free to use as the appropriate one for your research topic, and provide the detail about when, how, where to collect this kind of data too. You can say decide where and how long you will collect the data too. Interview location, you need to provide it, and also duration. Also, you can provide. But interview location, please choose the public and secure area. For example, university room, etc. And duration there is no fixed duration, but to get an in-depth understanding, I recommend it to around at least 1 hours, right? Here's an example. Semi-structured interview will be used for data collection, and interview guide is available in appendix. So I also ask you to provide an appendix interview guide so that you can provide a couple of 5 to 10 questions. Okay, you can provide 5 to 10 questions that relate to your topic as a research guide, the interview guide in the appendix 1, please. Please don't use open close-ended question in the appendix. Please only use open-ended questions. And also I use reflective memos, another means to collect the data. And the place of an interview are invited to come and secure public places such as university lecture room, etc. And also all interviews will be audio recorded with consent. And we develop the systematic, blah, blah, blah. You can it's etc. But you can also still explain about this kind of thing. And then in the last sentence, I also highlight about the interview duration. Interview will last around 1 and 1.5 hours, something like that. And data process and data analysis. You can explain how to analyze your data you collected. So you need to provide a rationale why and the analytical approaches is appropriate for your research design. You can also add some what kinds of software you will use. You will use Microsoft Word to analyze to manage the data, or you can also say the NBIBO and other software to manage your qualitative data too for your analysis. For the example, I say that audio recording interviews will be transcribed the Baba team in Cantonese. Then the transcript will be then analyzed using interpretive phenomenological analysis developed by Smith et al. So it means that I choose interpretive phenomenology as a methodology, correct? Because I use interpretive phenomenological analysis framework, right? So you should match like this. Otherwise, it's very you cannot achieve methodological congruence. And also according to the references, the reference proposed the following step, and then you can restate. But please paraphrase it, otherwise it can be plagiarism. And then data will be analyzed using qualitative data software and Vivo, and then blah, blah, blah. You can explain the reason why. Discrete phenomenology, you can also, there are different approaches, like Qualitative approach provide the 7 step to analyze the data for discrete phenomenology. But don't limit to this one because it's very old references, okay? You can find it yourself. I'll just give the example. If you choose an interpretive phenomenology, I can use another researcher's work. They propose a 7 step, so I followed it. Or you can also read the Michael's one article. He also provides some analysis step. You can also reference it, provide the reference, and they provide the step into your proposal. And also, if you choose the grounded theory, you can also choose a certain approaches analysis, like Strauss-Corbin. If you use a Strauss-Corbin's grounded theory, you need to provide a 3 coding approach like open coding, axial coding, and selective coding. And if you choose a Shaman's constructivist grounded theory, you can see different name, right? Initial coding, focused coding, and theoretical coding. Although they use the same grounded theory, but they have different approach of analysis. So please make sure about you use a correct analytical framework. For example, if you choose constructivist grounded theory as your research methodology, you need to use initial coding, focused coding, theoretical coding as an analysis. Otherwise, it can be wrong. And also last lecture, you also learn about rigor, right? So you need to explain how you will assure the quality of your data analysis. So there are many rigor approaches. You can see here example. Research team invites the expert in qualitative research topic in this research to review the research process and finding. It's I also teach you the peer debriefing, right? You remember member checking and peer debriefing? Yeah, I use these approaches for ensure rigor. You can justify like this. So rigor, there are many criteria, different people. So it's the same as the your analysis. You need to find the matched rigor criteria for your chosen methodology. The general one is the credibility, auditability, transferability, and conformability you learned last time. So maybe you can also think about how you can match with these criteria using your own strategies. If you revisited our lecture slide yet last time, you can also find some of the strategies that match with this criteria. You can use it. So member checking, because many people use the member checking and peer debriefing for make sure about rigor. So maybe you can also choose about these approaches when you write your proposal. I will use member checking, I will use the peer debriefing, and why. What is it and why you use this one? You can explain this kind of thing in your research proposal. But also you need to, I ask you to provide the research essay, how you can get information, informed consent, and how will you get the IRB approval. You can explain about this. For example, during the research process, the ethical issues including can be caused due to the blah, blah, blah. To resolve this issue, PI will, you can, what kinds of action you will make it. And also you will seek the IRB approval from each cluster you belong to. And in addition, you can explain about informed consent form you will get from the participant. You can explain about this kind of a thing. And last but not least, at the end of your proposal, you need to provide a time scale about your plan about your qualitative research. How many months you need it? If it's a 1-year project, you can provide this kind of a table. Yeah, but it's just only example. You can add the more steps, or you can add the more longer period about each stage. It totally depends on you. But please make sure about this is reasonable. This time frame is reasonable. Sometimes it depends on your target sample and context. Sometimes it can be you need a longer period of data collection, and also you have a longer data analysis plan, etc. So it depends on your decision. Okay, so last my message is please read articles, more articles, so that you can have some idea what kinds of thing you can write, but don't choose the lower impact factor journals. Although impact factor doesn't guarantee the quality of a manuscript, but at least they have better reviewers and the better editors. So again, International Journal of Nursing Study or QHR, Qualitative Health Research Journal, you can reference it. And please avoid any plagiarism in any case. And also please make sure about English, because writing, I mean, if I cannot write, I cannot give you good marks. I cannot understand what you wanted to say. I cannot give you a full mark, right? So please make sure about your English. Maybe you can also use a ChatGPT to check your grammar and also the flow, etc. Again, please do not use the example I just showed in the previous slide. And most important thing is you need to make sure about methodological congruence. Okay, it should make all sense in your your research proposal, research paradigm, research methodology, research data collection approaches, and data analysis. It should match all each other and rigor criteria too. So this one you already know. I just to show that. Now let's have a Q&A. Oh. Any questions?
Dr. J, I have the questions that when I do the interview and doing the transcript, I found that there are many of the conversation starting with something wordings is no meaning and repeated by the client. Do I need to transcribe it, or I can cut it?
Okay, so because it's very difficult for me to judge because it also depends on the your interpretation, because we don't know whether it's meaningless or not.
Like some posts like let me think is that
Okay, but you can if you think it's not meaningful, you can remove it. But in the same time, I have another idea, because let me think. It means that it also there are a lot of meaning inside. He never talked about this kind of approach before, and also he may be reluctant to share the experience. Something meaning there. So that is why if you want to ignore about this, it's okay, still fine, not affect to your research topic, it's fine. But if you think it also can be very useful to understand about their way of, share their experience, you can include it.
And also during the interview, if while thinking, the interviewee have some gesture, or maybe the I keep asking the question, she looked at the ceiling and then fall down like this. Can I quote and input?
Of course, it's very, very nice. You can just in the interview guide, in the beside, you can write the memo. Okay, when the participant say this, she avoided to eye contact, etc., whatever. But maybe you can also think about whether it's a very important data source or not.
And I also got a question, is that if as my clients speak in Cantonese, then when I translate some of the idiom that I cannot find it in English, is that I directly translate, or I can make it into the meaning in English?
Okay, so I ask you to just provide it's optional whether you want to provide Cantonese translated transcript or not. Okay, optional. You don't need to translate all, but I need to only report your final interpretation. So it means that you can submit Chinese transcribed interview transcription to the system. Okay. I will double check with my RA whether it's true or not. Only it's related to your topic or not. Sometimes because we wrote many things that related to your research topic, because Jay doesn't understand Cantonese, but I will double check it with my RA.
Okay, thank you. And I also would like to ask about triangulation. Is that during the interview, I see something, I write it down, and I feel, and then later on I match it. Is that meaning triangulation?
Yeah. Now in this case, I can say you have one data source about interview, right? One, and also your reflective memo is another data source, right? And maybe you can also add another observation note. Maybe you have now 3 data sources, right? So when you analyze it, you can combine 3 all together. For the
So I will describe it in the process.
Where?
If I do this as...
Yeah, of course, you can mention it's better. For example, as a triangulation approaches, I use 3 approaches. So are we using these approaches to analyze the data, etc.?
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can also mention about triangulation in your research proposal, not only the interview guide, interview practice. It can be very useful. Yeah. Any others? It seems like you are very confident to get higher mark in your assignment. Very confident, very nice. I'm very happy for you.
Dr. J, I would like to ask something.
Okay, sure, please.
Because I'm doing the same topic for my obstructive observation and the interview. So when I do my mini proposal, can I put what I have done in these two coursework and then put into my mini proposal, some content, or maybe exactly the transcript of the interview, something like that as appendix?
Oh, I don't think that it's really similar each other's, because now because you do your own practice for interview and observation, but maybe when you write a proposal, you should do more tailored, more refined the way you're doing, because it's a more formal the proposal, not just a real practical resources. So think about combining all together for your proposal, and then you can refine how to make a better presentation for your research proposal. So it's again, you are now businessman to sell your product through the research proposal. Okay. So you need to use the very convincing word and clear approaches to deliver the information in your proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Hello, Dr. Lee. Yeah, I have a question. Because I remember you said the observation topic is related to the health outcome. Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay. That has outcome. I recommend you to just conduct the observation practice in with the health related topic.
Yeah.
That has outcome.
Yeah. But we have some full-time dean student, and I can't get to the hospital in Hong Kong. So I was wondering, should I just sit in the such as Queen Mary Hospital and the observation some
Yes,
yeah.
observation is fine, but it's not about outcome. You should bring what you want to observe, right? You need to think about what you want to observe in Queen Mary Hospital, and you need to focus on this topic and describe, and then conduct your observation with a field note.
Okay. Yeah, I will think I can sit in the emergency room and observe something. But
They allow you to sit in there.
the security is not from me. Yeah.
Okay, don't go there, and then just you need to decide topic first. It doesn't mean you can go emergency room and sit down and observe whatever you want. It's not.
Yeah.
You need to set the topic.
Very awkward.
Yeah. And also the security will take you out.
Yeah. So I was wondering, where should I go to observe?
Very weird, I think then.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Hi, Professor. Sorry, I would like to know more about the concept, the analysis of the coding. You mentioned about free coding. Can you explain more? Sorry.
So you mean the coding in grounded theory, right?
Yes.
Because all coding approach is different from according to methodology. Okay. The ground theory, they provide very specific the approaches for coding. So open coding and also focus to code. I will show you. Where is it? Okay, this one. Here. The Strauss-Corbin, when they wrote the book about ground theory approaches, they suggest 3 coding approaches: open coding, axial coding, and selective coding. So open coding is just an initial coding, like a very beginning coding. After that, they ask you to do more structured axial coding to identify the relationship between all the concepts. And then in the third step, at the selective coding, they request you to refine your finding from the actual coding for making better theory. This 3 coding approach is quite similar to the Sharma's coding approach, but different name. The Sharma's mentioned the coding name as the initial coding, focused coding, and theoretical coding. But initial coding is quite similar to open coding. But change the name. But post coding is the Strauss-Coping provide the axial coding is very, very prescriptive, so that Shamas criticized about this, about very prescriptive coding approaches in grounded theory. But that is why she newly proposed another name of coding is a focused coding. It's much more flexible than actual coding. It's the key differences. Because also it depends on their research paradigm. Because constructivism, they more give you the flexibilities, right? So that is why the Shamas adopt more this kind of philosophical tradition for their own analysis. And also the selective coding and theoretical coding quite similar each other, concept similar but different name. Anyway, so when you use the ground theory, particularly Shamas the methodology, constructive ground theory, please don't use this coding approach's name because it's from Strauss and Coping. If you use the Strauss-Coping ground theory, please don't use this coding approach in your proposal. You should use this coding because you should match with it. It's not overall, general approaches for all ground theory, different according to their paradigm. And other than that, other than ground theory, actually, other methodology like a phenomenology and the interpretive description, they don't provide this kind of specific coding approaches. They have their own step how to analyze, rather than informing you the coding strategies. So you can maybe use the general coding strategies according to the step that proposed by each the methodologies. Is it enough? Okay. I know it's difficult maybe because
Yes, difficult.
but again, but you are the highest level of education, doctor of nursing. So if you have some question, of course, you can just read some article about ground theory analysis approaches or phenomenology analysis approaches. Please read more articles for your knowledge, and then please anytime please find me if you want to have if you want to discuss about this approach with me. It's totally fine. But at least you can have some sense and read more article about the real approaches, and then we can discuss. It's more productive, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Also, I uploaded all the recording, the 5 methodologies. Please, if you want to revisit and rewatch, please use the link. But I'm sure that many of you doesn't want to attend again, right? Or doesn't watch again. It's quite long. But I think it's a very, very good lecture. I believe so, because it's not about I invite them, but I also learn a lot from their presentation. So please watch several times to digest content. It's really, really good lectures, to be honest. Yeah. Any other questions? No? If not, good luck for your all the submission about assignment. But if you have a question, please do not hesitate to contact me, okay? Anytime. We can have a if you want, I can have one-on-one meeting too. Okay, please request any meetings for your assignment or other contents that are related to the content you learn. Even you can send the email, I can try to reply, but it takes a little bit time. Please understand. Okay, thank you very much for your hard work, and also I really enjoyed to host this course for you, and I hope you gain some good knowledge and understanding about qualitative research, and I really, really hope you can conduct more rigorous research in the future using qualitative research design. It's my whole point to deliver this course. Okay, thank you so much, and have a good, nice weekend. Well, one more day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.